And, it's just odd because we know he's not fully and completely focused on the Bears because he didn't work on Tuesday. So if there was any day that those thoughts could have crept into his brain as he's dealing with the fact that he's not going to have Justin Jefferson for at least the next 4 games because they're putting him on injured reserve, that's the time that you could entertain this idea. Is there a team out there that I'd be willing to waive my no-trade clause to go play for? So who knows whether he would. I think he shouldn't. I think the only way he gets traded, Chris, is if a quarterback for one of the short-list high-level contenders suffers a season-ending injury between now and October 31, and Cousins is comfortable going there and being the guy that potentially salvages things. And even then, he's 12 boxes away. Check 12 boxes and go get giant bag of cash again as a free agent. It's going to take a lot, if I'm him, to get me to uproot my family, turn my life upside down, and go be somebody's savior for the rest of the regular season and into the postseason when I don't know the coach, I don't know the team, I don't know this, I don't know that. It's all new. It's all turned on its head. I wouldn't want that if I was him. But the only way I'd consider it is if it's, and I don't want to name names and be accused of jinxing anyone, but there's a handful of teams that if they lost their starting quarterback and that team came calling, you'd at least scratch your chin a little bit and wonder maybe that's where you should be willing to go.
Yeah, well, I mean, that to me is the only scenario. I mean, that's it. I know we had the Jets conversation, a few weeks ago, and this is where this kind of percolated or popped up, right? And, okay, maybe that made sense a few weeks ago to a degree, but it didn't make sense for the Vikings, who were still going, wait, we can play some pretty good ball here. We're not going to give up on the season just because the Jets lost Aaron Rodgers. We're going to go, hey, here you go with our quarterback. But that to me is where it just feels like this whole conversation is a little bit putting the cart before the horse a little. Like what I want to say to everybody out there that right now that's trying to talk about, hey, trade Kirk Cousins, who is going to trade? There has to be a market. I know it's cool to say it on TV but give me a why or who or what's the reason. There's a lot of just BS talk out there on TV right now. Who is going to go, wait, we want Kirk Cousins right now? Somebody tell me a team, and then why did they think it's going to just turn things around right now in the middle of the year? Like you said, I think that's the only scenario that happens. A guy that's a good quarterback on one of these good teams, maybe he thinks about it. But as we stand here right now, what team, what situation does that make sense for? And then add it on to, right, the assets you're going to have to give up to get it. It just, none of it makes sense right now to me. It's a little bit of a hot air and what ifs and what ifs and candies and butts, all that kind of crap here right now.
And here's the other side of this. You have to have a team that is willing to deviate from the time-honored mantra of next man up. Because most of these teams are going to say, we have a backup who knows the offense.
Right.
We have a backup who knows the players. We have a backup who's been at practice with these guys for months, if not years. Why are we going to bring in a stranger to the organization? We don't know him. He doesn't know us. We're starting from scratch. And, the next train's coming down the track. And, the next train's coming down the track. And, the next train's coming down the track. And before you know it, the season's falling apart anyway. And you've given up trade assets out of desperation to have a guy that you think is going to save a season that you feel like is falling apart because you lost your starting quarterback for the year to an injury. And again, I'm really resisting the temptation to name names, but there's one team where it would be a fairly seamless transition, and that's the 49ers. But I guarantee you, if something happened to Brock Purdy, they're going with Sam Darnold.
Agreed.
They're not going to give up a first-round pick to go get Kirk Cousins for half a season when they've decided Purdy's their guy.
That's right. And you said it. You named and just listed off all the reasons why you go with the backup and do that. And of course, there's still, even though it might be seamless, it won't be seamless to the degree that he's going to get there in San Francisco and know the offense as good as Sam Darnold. I mean, Shanahan's offense, I know this from him and people that are aware, it's evolved, and he's got a whole new, book out on as far as his playbook compared to what it was in Washington. He's on volume 4 of how to screw defenses over. Kirk Cousins was a part of volume 1. So that's where it's not as seamless, and you're right. That would be the one that makes the most sense. But no, they have belief in Sam Darnold and his talent and that he could come in and do what Brock Purdy did last year if he's called upon. So, yeah, it feels like it's a little bit of a pushed argument conversation, and because it's Kirk Cousins, I do think people like to pile on him more than other people, and they do that to him too in this case, and it just seems a little odd and off right now.
Well, he's become, thanks to the quarterback series, more likable, more liked, and he's non-threatening. See, when Tom Brady was in his heyday, everybody who wasn't a Patriots fan hated him because he was the guy who came in and tore your heart out and showed it to you. With Cousins, it's like, he's a nice guy. He does well. We like having him on our fantasy team. And when it's time to play the Vikings, we know that something's going to happen and we're going to end up winning the game if, our favorite team is a good team like the Chiefs. So there's just enough of Cousins that isn't that cold-blooded killer that makes it easier for fans of other teams to embrace Kirk Cousins because they're ultimately not afraid of Kirk Cousins and what he's going to do to your team. That's my theory. Whether or not there's anything to it, who knows? Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.